earlier in the week, we talked about possible free agents that the Texans could target. But before they get there, they have quite a few players of their own that they have to re-sign. And some of these are like bigger name players, and others like more like depth players, role players. But nonetheless, they have 18 players that are set to hit free agency. So, let's take a look at these 18 players and decide if the Texans should bring them back or, let them walk. And how much they should give them. Let's start off with the bigger names. There's 3 huge names on here. So, number 1, obviously, Jadeveon Clowney. Fan base is split into 3 different groups. The people that want to just flat out let him walk, which is dumb. The people that want to franchise tag him, and, either keep him or trade him, and, fine, I'll take that one. Or the people that want him extended long term. I am in the 3rd group. Jadeveon Clowney has to get extended long term. Letting him walk would be dumb. He is one of the better players in the NFL, and you don't let people like Jadeveon Clowney walk. A lot of people give the Texans, or a lot of Texans fans want to talk mess about the Texans letting AJ Boye walk. Well, letting Jadeveon Clowney walk is just like letting AJ Boye walk. You don't let players like Jadeveon Clowney hit the open market, and guess what? If Jadeveon Clowney hits the open market, he's going to Indianapolis 100% without a doubt. So do you really want that? No. And a lot of people also want to say Jadeveon Clowney doesn't deserve Khalil Mack money. Jadeveon Clowney has never ever came out and said he wanted Khalil Mack money. Ever. So I don't know where people get that from. But Jadeveon Clowney is definitely getting re-signed long term. I don't see him getting franchise tagged unless they can't reach a long term contract. But what I do know is that the Texans do want to reach a long term agreement with him. Now, personally, for me, a lot of people just like to throw in $100 million. Oh, don't pay Clowney $100 million. That number means nothing. Like, if I gave Clowney a $100 million contract throughout 10 years, that'd be $10 million a year. People just get freaked out at the $100 million. But regardless, I don't think Clowney gets signed for longer than 5 years. And I was thinking somewhere like around close to the lower 90s for 5 years. Like, probably on average of like 17 mil per year. But what people don't consider is some teams, and I really think the Texans should do this with Clowney. Clowney should have a contract with incentives. You get X amount of sacks, you get a little bit extra money. You play all 16 games, you get some more money. So, for example, you structure Clowney's contract to where the base salary is, I don't know, let's put it at 16.5 mil. Okay. He plays all 16 games. He gets an extra mil. He gets, let's say, 12 sacks. He gets an extra mil. So, Clowney isn't getting completely screwed over. And we're also paying for the production and the availability. Because a lot of people say, oh, Jadeveon Clowney doesn't get that many sacks. Or, oh, Clowney's not healthy, even though he's been healthy for the past 3 years. But, whatever. But I do think we got to keep Jadeveon Clowney. You just got to structure his contract properly. And in my opinion, that is the route the Texans should go. A contract with incentives. You got to play a certain amount of games so you could get some extra money. And you got to have double-digit sacks. In my opinion, that would be the perfect, middle ground between the people that don't want Clowney and the people that do want Clowney. But in my opinion, you don't let players like Jadeveon Clowney walk. Now, if you can't get the contract done with Clowney, franchise tag him and, either try to get it done or trade him. Honestly, because if you're not going to get it done now, you're probably most likely going to lose him. So in that case, trade him for a first-round pick and a second-round pick and, some change or something. Because you could definitely get that for Jadeveon Clowney because he's a very good player. It might not show up in the stat sheet, but if you watch the games, Jadeveon Clowney is a game wrecker, and he shows up in the biggest moments. Okay, next guy. Tyrann Mathieu. Well, I'll just put these two guys together. Tyrann Mathieu and Kareem Jackson. I would like to keep both, but in my opinion, it would be a waste to keep both because they essentially play the same position. They're both kind of like this linebacker safety type of guy. and they could throw him in the nickel. In my opinion, I choose Tyrann Mathieu, even though in my opinion, Kareem Jackson's a better safety. But Tyrann Mathieu is younger, and he's a natural-born leader, and this team needs leadership, and that's something Tyrann Mathieu can bring that Kareem doesn't bring. But I think Kareem might possibly get paid a good chunk of money as a corner, even though I think he's not a good corner at all. We've seen it. He was better early in the season when he was playing safety. Once they moved him to corner, he slowed down a lot. Now, again, to me, it's an age thing. Tyrann Mathieu should stay over Kareem Jackson. I would love to keep both, but I just don't see the Texans keeping both because they're both safeties. And who do you bench? Do you bench Tyrann Mathieu or Kareem Jackson? You're not going to bench Justin Reed because Justin Reed is better than both of them, in my opinion. You're not going to bench him. So, in my opinion, you can only keep one, and I would offer both of them a similar contract around the 9 to 10 mil a year range. I don't think they're going to break the bank that much. I think at most, Tyrann Mathieu will probably get like a 38 mil a year contract for 4 years. That's what I would offer him. I don't see Tyrann Mathieu being a 12 mil, 13 mil type of player. I really don't. Okay, next guy. Kayvon Webster. Don't even bother re-signing him. He's always hurt. Angelo Blackson. I'll re-sign him for depth. He's a pretty damn good player. He could be a starter, and you know, I wouldn't be surprised if we lost him because you know, he's pretty good. He could start in other places, and this goes with Christian Covington and Brandon Dunn. I'm gonna, put those three together. I think we should at least make an effort to keep one, maybe two of these. In my personal preference, I'd rather go Christian Covington because, in my opinion, he's a better pass rusher, but I feel like Dunn's a better run stopper, but Blackson's the most balanced player. So, you kind of really got to pick. If it were really up to me, it would be Covington and Blackson. But I would love to keep all three, and I would offer all three a similar contract. These guys are role players, kind of backups type of players. They're not really starters. I could see someone offering them starter money, but I wouldn't offer any one of these guys more than like 6 mil. Honestly, I think some teams might offer like Christian Covington a lot of money, like at least 8-9 mil. Because he is like the bigger name player. And honestly, you guys might think I'm tripping, but no. Trust me. These guys, the league's probably keeping a close eye on them. Because the Texans, they're like a breeding ground for defensive linemen. Just how the Steelers, they come out with all these wide receivers, all these running backs. The Dolphins, running backs. Like the Texans, well, they develop defensive linemen. And Dunn, and even Heath, but I don't think Heath is staying here because he was constantly in healthy scratch throughout the season. I don't see them keeping him. So to me, it's between Covington, Blackson, and Dunn. Hopefully they get 2, but hopefully, at least try to keep 1. I'm hoping for 2, but, who knows how things might work out. Joe Webb, quarterback. I wouldn't mind keeping him. He's a emergency quarterback, special teamer, emergency wide receiver. It's nice to have a player like him around. Okay, next guy, Sharice Wright, let him walk. Not good. Brian Peters, special teamer. Keep him. Don't mess with the special teams, honestly. Like, our special teams was finally good for the first time ever, so keep him. Brandon Whedon, backup quarterback. I say you let him test the market. If you can't find anything better, then you bring him back, but I could care less about Brandon Whedon, honestly. I know that might sound mean, but that's just how I feel. Alfred Blue, you can let him walk. Try to get something better with the draft or free agency. And again, if you can't get anything, then at that point you bring him back. Because trust me, nobody's going to pick up Alfred Blue. No one. Josh Keyes, inside linebacker, special teamer. Again, bring him back. Special teams and Brian Peters and Josh Keyes and Webb, they shouldn't be that expensive. Like 2 mil might get them. Next guy, Kendall Lamb, right tackle. I would bring him back as a depth player. I think he could be a good swing tackle. You know, that third offensive tackle. Definitely not a guy you want starting 16 games, but you know, in case your offensive tackle goes down, you could throw him in there for a few plays or to finish out a game, or you know, even start a game or two. I think he'll be good to have. He'll probably get like around $3 million. Honestly, I don't see him breaking the bank. And I read an article, I forgot where it was, but there was an article saying that the Texans needed to sign more players in the $3 to $5 million range, you know, depth players, backups. And I agree with that. And I think Kendall Lamb fits what they were saying. I think Kendall can, you know, be that swing tackle. Next guy, Brennan Scarlett. He's a restricted free agent. So I think you got to bring him back. Special teamer. He was doing a good job at inside linebacker there for a while when Cunningham was down. And he can also play outside linebacker. So, you know, I wouldn't mind Brennan Scarlett coming back. Next guy, Kaimi Fairbairn. You got to reach a long-term contract with Fairbairn because he is our franchise kicker. I know people hated him at first, but I mean, he showed his worth. Like, he was making all the field goals. The only field goals he missed were the ones where Trevor Daniel messed up on the hold. But yeah, Kaimi Fairbairn got to come back. And the last guy, DeAndre Carter, wide receiver. Got to bring him back too. I think he makes a fine returner and a pretty decent backup for Kiki. So I think you got to bring him back too. So out of all these players, Kayvon Webster, Sharice Wright, Brandon Whedon, Alfred Blue, and, you know, let's say Joel Heath, and let's say Kareem Jackson, and let's say Angelo Blackson, I guess you could say. It's tough to decide between Christian Covington, Blackson, and Dunn. So out of those 18 players, there are 7 players, I guess, that I'd be okay with. So in my opinion, you kind of have to bring back 10 to 11 players. That's just me, though. Again, a lot of these guys, they're smaller contracts. But then you got Jadeveon, Clowney, and Tyrann Mathieu that will require slightly bigger contracts. But don't worry, we have like $65 million cap to spend. Then, of course, you cut Kevin Johnson. That's an extra $9 million. You cut Demaryius Thomas. That's an extra $14 million. So in total, cutting those two guys gets you like what? $23 million? $23 million extra in cap. So we're doing good in cap space. Don't trip. Don't get scared. Oh my God, we ain't got no money. We got plenty of money. We got money to blow. Anyways, that's all I have for you guys for today. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.